Hey everyone, hope you guys are having a great weekend. Just wanted to do a video on sound deadening and audio for my two cars. This is the Civic, and in the front there we have the CRV. So you can see I'm in the garage. Hopefully you guys are getting some better weather than we are. Quite a lot of rain today, or for the past few days anyway. I wanted to show the two cars and the sound treatment I've done. Just wanted to start by saying thank you for the subscribers and the likes and comments. This is not really something I do all the time, so basically bear with me on my lack of video editing. There's a lot of videos out there that I've watched, and there's a lot of cutting, and basically cuts off all the little excess, right? But I promise you guys that I will get to that part of it. Right now, this is the style up that I'll be keeping with. It's a little bit more raw, and you guys get to hear all the little nuances of imperfections, right? So just bear with me, and thank you for bearing with me in advance. And so if I were to go and show you guys the untreated part of the car, and that basically is going to be the roof. You hear that? There's a thunk on the roof that is quite hollow. You hear that almost like a drum. It's actually worse on the CRV because the CRV, I don't have a sunroof on the CRV. Almost like a, I wouldn't say a tin can, but now listen to the hood, which I have done the treatment on. So this is the CRV's hood. Right? It's a lot more of a solid thud. And the side, the doors, especially the door handle. So I'm gonna show you the door handle, the way it sounds when you're opening and closing. Okay, so listen for the sound. And close. The rear, same thing. When I opened up these doors, there was maybe a piece of CLD treatment, small piece here. I've actually covered pretty much the whole door and inner skin or inner second layer, and then put a little bit of foam in there too as well. So there is quite a bit of sound treatment in these doors. That's why they sound the way they do. Typically, you don't get that in regular Hondas unless you have the higher models like the Pilots and the bigger cars. The CRV and the Civic's gonna have much less sound deadening because they want to keep it nice and light, better fuel economy. But of course, that you lose the quote unquote luxury part of it, right? So especially in the rear doors, right? These cars have very little sound deadening. So listen for this again. Even when I close it really hard, there's no hollow sound to it. I've done the trunk as well. Okay, and then you can take a listen to the Civic. Solid sound. And same thing with the front door. Hear that? Especially the rear door again. Very solid. And I've done the the back hatch as well. But that wasn't really necessary because the back hatch, the hatchback, this part is actually polymer. So it's quite interesting. The whole hatch is polymer, whereas the rest of the car is metal, right? So yeah, that's my progress with it. I'm gonna show you the trunk, and they don't have too much junk in here anyway. They do have a little bit in here, but so yeah, this is my CRV, or rather the Civic's trunk. I have a Rockford Fosgate 10-inch sub there in a slim enclosure. I've actually taken out the box. So the box, the original Bose subwoofer is taken out. The sound is routed to this subwoofer with an amp in here. So I don't want to pull this apart right now, but I have a 150S Rockford Fosgate. It's a bit of a vintage amp, and it's powering this sub quite nicely actually. So one day I'm going to be able to give you guys a bit of a sound demo, whatever you can hear from what I can record and what you guys can hear from your own speakers, right? So for what that's worth, that's where it is at. I have a lot of sound treatment in the trunk of the floor and also the floor of the car as well. So pretty much everything is done except the roof on both cars. Okay. What else can I tell you? They sound very good. Compared to stock, is a lot more low end, right? It doesn't sound as boomy as well. The Bose system on the Civic is quite boomy, I think. There's a lot of boosted mids, so it gives you a punchy bass, but then you get a bit of a hollow boominess to the overall sound, and that was driving me crazy. Okay, so I've changed out pretty much all the speakers in this car, in the Civic. I've left the tweeters, but I did change the mid woofers. So I'll show you guys that later. I want to show you guys the CRV. So the CRV, I have this aftermarket shade, or what do you call it, trunk liner, or trunk cover, and I got it from Amazon. It was on sale, so it's pretty inexpensive. Someone bought it and I guess returned it, and then there was a few scratches on it, and I didn't really care. I just wanted something to cover. It does an okay job. And here's the trunk of the CRV. I have a kicker, Comp VR, and I think it's A Trend B box. So it's branded B box, but it's made by A Trend USA, and it's quite a nice box. It looks small, as you can see. That's a 10 kicker Comp VR. I would call it a vintage sub as well. I've had this sub for a long time. Came out of my S4 when I had it, Audi S4, back in 2004. I think that's the first car I had it in. And then I had my G35, and then I had it out for a little while, and then I put it in here. So yeah, it's doing a pretty good job. It's reverse mounted, obviously, because this box is quite shallow. See that? So it's a shallow sub. That sub won't fit the other way, and I'm actually glad I actually backward mounted it, because it actually sounds quite nice this way. You gain volume when you mount it this way, because this part of the sub is not taking up space on the inside, right? And then because this is a convex mounted now, the woofer is convex, it adds that little bit of extra volume to the box itself, right? Very solid. It's like 3/4 3/4 of an inch MDF. Same with the box in the Civic. 3/4 of an inch, very solid. And I do have polyfill in here. But without going into that too much, the idea is that I have done the wheel wells, sound treatment, and then the trunk as well. And it put in a lot of sound deadening in a trunk. And I got this deluxe WeatherTech mat, which covers the felt carpet underneath, and I got the stuff under the spare underneath. But I'm not gonna lift that up right now because I have this cargo net that I got from online as well. I think it was probably Amazon or somewhere. Yeah, so that's where it has have done aftermarket things, and the sound on this system is quite nice. This sub has a very deep low bass to it. I have a kicker. Actually, no, it's a Rockford Fosgate 200M mono amp. So it's rated for about 200 watts RMS. And if you guys know that Rockford back in the day actually underrated their amps. So this 200M is probably pushing closer to 300 watts RMS on 4-ohm load, and is doing a very good job powering this Kicker Comp VR sub, sounding pretty good overall. The 4 speakers on this system, I replaced it to Alpine Type-S midwoofer on all 4 doors, and as you know, I have the model which is the LX, so I only have originally 4 speakers in total, right? I'm gonna put you guys down and then go on to some of the slides I have prepared. So I'll be right back. All right, so I'm back. This is a shot of the inside of the CRV's front door. This is the driver door. So basically you got the stock speaker right there, and then you got, this is the stock barrier for moisture. So it's a moisture barrier. And this stuff is actually just plastic. It's like a plastic bag material. And then it's held in by this butyl rubber rope all the way around. And then you got the sound insulation cotton. And basically this cotton is just to prevent this barrier from vibrating when you're driving, and or when the subwoofers, or not the subwoofer, but the speaker is doing its job. So it prevents vibration and a little bit of sound isolation, insulation, but it doesn't really do that much of a good job. Behind here, when you pull this off, basically, that's where the window section is, and then you get to the outer skin, metal. So that's the CRV door, and just wanted to show you what I've done with it. And this is the picture of basically all the material that I used, and I put in a new barrier. So this is actually a type of vinyl, so I use that for mass loading, and I did use kill mat. So I think I have a picture in here for that. And this is the Civic. So this is the original Civic driver door, and that's the Bose original 6.5 inch midwoofer. And then this is the Civic driver door, in which case you have the same type of plastic bag type of material, but it's a little bit softer than the bag material or the plastic material in the CRV. It's like it has a bit of a texture to it, and it's softer to prevent, again, the vibration. Same butyl rope, and then it uses this type of closed cell foam for sound isolation or insulation. And what I've done is basically to sound deadening the sound deaden the outer skin, and then the inner skin, which is this inner skin. Replace the what do you call that? The moisture barrier. All right, and then I did eventually replace this speaker, this mid-woofer, with a Kappa or Harman Infinity Kappa speaker, 6.5 inch coax speaker, and I'll show you what that looks like later. But yeah, I did replace the speaker eventually because originally I actually thought that the sound that I was explaining earlier about that hollowness, that mid bass bump and hollowness, that boominess, I thought it was originally because this speaker was overworked, and it was it gave this weird sound for the vocals, a little bit too bumped in the mid range. So I thought originally it was actually the sound treatment for the door, right? So I did put a bunch of sound treatment on it, and afterwards it still had, I think it got better, but still I wasn't happy with that speaker right there. So I did replace that speaker with a, like I said, it's a Harman International Infinity Kappa speaker, and the model, I'll show that to you shortly, but it's 62IX, and it certainly did improve the sound immensely. So the finish part of it is I actually did put this sound cotton back in, or this black foam, closed cell foam layer back onto that, on top of the kill mat, and that basically sort of gives you a little bit more sound isolation towards the outside, and it certainly did help the door become a lot more less resonant in a number of ways. It helped the audio basically. What I wanted to show you is this is the trunk for the Civic. Basically, there was a little bit of sound deadening. What do you call that stuff? It's like there's some sort of spray-on stuff that they put on in the factory. There was a little bit on the bottom, and this picture is actually sideways, but the spare will go in here. The trunk opening basically opens this way, right? Okay, so I used a lot of the Amazon Basics sound deadening material. The black stuff is actually 90 mil smart mat, also available from Amazon, and then I did put a isolation layer of foam. This is actually my wife's old yoga mat, but anyways, basically you just need a closed cell foam, and yoga mats actually do work. Instead of spending $50 on some foam, I basically used her mat, which, yeah, don't tell her. Anyways, so the idea is that after this, I did put on some mass loaded vinyl as like a thick layer of, or heavy vinyl, to basically dampen the amount of sound, right? So basically you want sound control, and there's a certain way to do that, and you need deadening, isolation, and then one layer of something dense, like whether it be in the case of homes, it's your layer of your wall, but in between has to be an isolation, and then afterwards you have another wall on the other side, and both panels need to be like, so quote unquote deadened, right? But typically gyprock is quite not resonant, unlike sheet metal on our cars, right? So that's why we need to sound deaden, in which case helps the sound, overall sound of the way the cabin sounds. So that's the main stuff I wanted to show you. This is the floor of the, I believe the Civic's floor, Well, actually, this is the CRV, so you can see the joint of that's the trunk area right there. This is the back seats of the CRV. Obviously, the seats are taken out, and there's the seatbelt harnesses, and basically the floor was basically just regular sheet metal pressed, and I used a combination of kill mat and some of this vinyl dampening, heavy mass-loaded vinyl, and I did put some foam on there too as well before that. And I did the floors, basically about, I want to say about 100 hours worth of work. So it was certainly a lot of work put into doing this. And the reason why I did it originally really was because of sound coming from the tires. It was driving me absolutely freaking nuts. The CRV is one of the loudest cars I've driven. Then we got the Civic as a second car. So we got, actually, no, wait. We got the Civic first as as a replacement to our Mini. And then afterwards, we replaced our older generation RDX with the CRV. The Civic, because it's the 11th generation, I was actually very, very, very happy with that car, or this car, the Civic Sport Touring. Quite quiet, and the road noise was pretty good overall. So I was quite happy with it, probably because it is the 11th generation, and it has this a little bit more upper scale type of sound deadening and sound control and road noise. So I think Honda did actively, make an effort to make things better. But with that said, the CRV is the previous generation. Right now we're into this latest. I have the 2022, so the sound isolation to the road noise is horrendous. Because we had the Civic decent road manners and road noise, and obviously the Acura RDX is a little bit more upscale and has a better active noise cancellation, ANC. It's actually quite nice. And then when we got the CRV, I did not expect to have that much road noise. It was crazy. So with the CRV, I did the sound deadening on that car first, and I got it. Putting in all that time, it was worth it because it's now a little bit less than the Civic, and I did do the sound treatment on the Civic as well. So it did actually reduce the road noise by quite a bit. With that said, I also replaced my tires. For any of you guys that are CRV drivers, the tires make a pretty big difference. I want to say contributing factor, if the sound deadening cut it down by, a certain percentage overall, it's probably 60% sound deadening, and another 40% of it is going to be the tires, because the tires actually does make a huge difference. Stock, it came with the Bridgestone Ecopia HL 422s, and those tires are just horrendous for road noise. It has good wear rating of 700, but man, do they make a lot of noise, on the highway and on some of the pavement that is not so nicely paved. So the Continentals, which I have on the CRV right now, makes a huge difference. It's like night and day, actually. So anyways, yeah, so that's just a little bit of information on some of the sound deadening. As far as the speakers are concerned, here is a little bit of some of the products. This is the original speaker. This came out from the CRV. See, this is just plastic. Everything is it's all very plasticky, right? But it's just a plastic woofer, nothing much to it. Here's the code. Neodymium magnet, very light, 6.5 inch woofer from the CRV. And because I have the base model LX, it only has 4 of these. That's it, right? So I did replace it with this speaker right here. This one is the coaxial speaker from Alpine, S65 and 6.5-inch coaxial two-way speaker. So it does come with the tweeter, which is the important part, which makes a huge difference, basically. Very nice speaker, can't complain. It wasn't very expensive either. It was like 150 bucks Canadian. Right now it's on sale, but very happy with the speaker. Replaced all 4 with these speakers. And because it has tweeters, basically it adds another quote-unquote speaker to the car. For the ones who have the upgraded, EXL model, they put tweeters in the car, right? So if you change your, stock 6.5 speaker, 1 woofer, with this, you basically adding 4 speakers to your car because it adds 4 tweeters if you replace all 4 woofers. And then you have a total of 8 speakers instead of 4. Makes a huge difference, actually. And because I did add the subwoofer, it certainly sounds very, very nice now. The cabin is all sound deadened, and it makes a huge difference. So for the Civic, I replaced the Bose speakers with Infinity, Harman, Reference, and Kappa series. So the Kappa is actually the higher line. The upper is pretty much the top line from Infinity. I replaced 2 of the woofers with this 65IX, and then I moved the original 6.5-inch woofer to the back speakers. So the back speakers has the front, and then I replaced the fronts with these ones, which are very nice speakers. Carbon reinforced type of woofer, and it has a silk dome tweeter as well. Very nice speaker. And the center channel speaker, I replaced it with this one right here, and I made a previous video on it. So very happy with the overall sound now. And I'll do a sound recording just to show you guys how the Civic and the CR-V sounds later. But that boominess that I originally had with the Civic's sound system, the sound system on the Civic is sport touring, so it comes with the Bose 12-speaker audio system, and like I said, it has this boominess to it, and basically replacing the speakers with those front mids with this Kappa speaker made a huge difference. And now the mids are quite smooth. It doesn't have that boominess anymore, like that hollow, sort of like the vocals are, people are in this hallway or underwater almost. It's just really odd sounding, and it's bumped too as well. And I think Bose engineered it like that so that there's a bass bump in the mid bass, right? Because the 8-inch woofer in the back of this Civic, the Bose 8-inch sub in the trunk, is not strong enough. So that sub gives a boomy bass to begin with, and then it's coupled with this with the original front 6.5-inch speakers, and it's just so boomy. I don't like to downplay people's cars, but with my experience and from how I hear it, it's quite annoying sounding almost, especially when you come from cars that have better systems in there. So anyways, right now I'm very happy with the overall sound signature of the Civic. Basically these speakers made a difference. This center channel made a difference as well. And overall, the bass is nice and low now, especially with that Rockford Fosgate 10-inch and box combo with the amp, right? So yeah, I want to make some more videos on the sound system part of it. So hopefully I can start to do some more video editing to make these videos a little bit smoother. And I know right now the signature of the way I make videos, it's a little bit more raw, and it has basically everything in it. You can hear my ums and ahs, and all the little nuances, right? Please, if you guys can help me out, subscribe and like, and hopefully more people get to my videos, and basically then I will have more time and more resources to make videos with a little bit more smoothness for you guys, right? And I have actually a few different subjects that I'm gonna be covering that is not automotive, but so hopefully you guys join me for that as well. So yeah, I will talk to you guys soon, and do take care. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.